The key is to surround yourself with people who lift you up, who bring out your best qualities. It can be tricky to spot false relationships, much like trying to tell a mirage from an oasis in the vast desert of human interaction. In a world full of meetings and mixed signals where people wear masks of friendliness and self-interest, figuring out who genuinely cares about us is an art that requires both intuition and keen observation. Sometimes we may trust too easily in the kindness and goodwill of others, only to realize later that we've been taken advantage of. Like a skilled gardener who can tell which plants nourish the soil and which ones drain it, we must learn to recognize true allies in our lives, and also identify those who drain us emotionally. In this video, we'll discuss subtle signs and less obvious patterns that reveal hidden intentions behind forced smiles and hollow promises. If you're here, it's because you're interested in personal growth, and in this content, we'll explore the wisdom of deciphering these human mysteries to pave the way for more genuine and fulfilling relationships. Before we dive in, I urge you to watch this video until the end because every piece of information is valuable. Stay strong and focused, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more insightful content. Number 1. Failure to fulfill promises. Failure to fulfill promises can be likened to a theatrical performance, where words take center stage as actors and actions play the neglected script. Those who engage in this behavior are adept at verbal persuasion, skillfully painting vivid pictures of commitment and support. However, their words often lack substance when it comes to action. They excel at creating expectations, but falter when it's time to transform these promises into reality. In such relationships, a predictable pattern emerges. When support is needed, most or promises are meant to be fulfilled. These individuals tend to disappear, leaving behind disappointment and disillusionment. Their absence during crucial times not only breaches trust, but also reveals their true motivations. Their promises serve as tools for manipulation, aimed at extracting value, trust, or support, without any intention of reciprocation. The failure to fulfill promises becomes a litmus test, distinguishing between those who value relationships as mutual and reciprocal, and those who view them solely as avenues for personal gain. For those who find themselves let down, it's a painful yet instructive experience. Not all promises are built on honesty and integrity, making it crucial to observe this behavior as a means of identifying individuals who may exploit others. This behavior speaks volumes about a person's character and intentions, louder than even the most eloquent words. Recognizing this pattern allows one to navigate relationships with greater discernment, safeguarding their trust and emotional investment. Number 2. Diminishing or disdainful comments. In a relationship, when one person consistently uses demeaning or derogatory comments, it's like a subtle form of psychological warfare. These individuals often see others as mere tools for their own advancement, and they wield diminutive remarks like sharp barbs, aimed at eroding the confidence and self-worth of their targets. These comments may seem innocuous, often disguised as humor or casual banter, but they carry the weight of intentional harm. They undermine your successes, scoff at your dreams, or show indifference to your struggles. It's a calculated tactic to keep you in a state of self-doubt and diminished esteem, making you more vulnerable to their manipulation and control. Moreover, such disdainful remarks often stem from their own insecurities and feelings of inadequacy. By belittling others, they attempt to mask their own vulnerabilities and project an air of superiority. This behavior reveals their inability to engage in healthy, supportive relationships built on mutual respect. Recognizing and understanding this pattern is crucial. It allows you to see past their superficial charm and understand the toxic dynamics at play. It's a warning sign to either confront the behavior head-on, setting clear boundaries, or to distance yourself from such a toxic environment. Number 3. Unilateral benefit. Unilateral benefit in a relationship can take on various forms, whether it's financial, emotional, or practical. Financially, The beneficiary may frequently borrow money or resources, promising repayment or reciprocity that never comes to fruition. Emotionally, they might heavily rely on the other person for support, validation, and attention, yet offer little or nothing in return. Similarly, in practical aspects, they may regularly seek favors, assistance, or time, only to be conspicuously absent or too busy when their counterpart needs help. This one-sided dynamic resembles a parasitic relationship, where one party benefits while the other bears the burden. Like a parasite, the beneficiary draws nourishment, be it emotional, financial, or practical support, without adequately contributing to the well-being of their partner. Over time, this lack of reciprocity can exhaust the giver's resources, leaving them emotionally drained and unfulfilled. The motives behind unilateral benefit often stem from deep-seated self-centeredness and a lack of empathy. The beneficiary views relationships transactionally, focusing solely on what they can gain rather than what they can give. This perspective overlooks the essential elements of mutual respect, support, and reciprocity that are crucial for healthy relationships. Identifying this pattern requires keen observation. It involves recognizing the consistent lack of reciprocity and the feeling of being consistently shortchanged in the relationship. It prompts an honest evaluation of whether interactions leave one feeling valued and respected, or used and undervalued. Number 4, disregard for your needs or feelings. Disregarding your needs or feelings in a relationship creates a dynamic where only one person's emotional needs are acknowledged, leaving yours consistently overlooked or devalued. It's like tending a garden where only one flower is allowed to bloom, while the rest are neglected. In such interactions, the other person's needs and desires take precedence, while yours are pushed aside or dismissed. Their words and actions act as shears, constantly pruning away at your emotional well-being, making you feel unappreciated and invisible within the relationship. This disregard can take various forms. It might be evident in their consistent neglect of your emotional needs, failing to offer support or understanding when you're vulnerable. It could also manifest in their indifference to your opinions and choices, overshadowing your voice with their dominant narrative. Furthermore, they may ignore your achievements or, worse, downplay your struggles, trivializing the challenges you face. Such behavior isn't just insensitive, it's a deliberate neglect aimed at maintaining control by invalidating your feelings and needs. By undermining your self-worth, they make you more susceptible to their influence and manipulation. This subtle form of emotional manipulation can have a profound impact, striking at the core of your emotional well-being. Recognizing the signs of emotional neglect is crucial for navigating such situations. This awareness serves as a guide, helping you steer clear of relationships where your emotional well-being is at risk. It empowers you to seek connections built on reciprocity, respect, and mutual care. Number 5, emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation often begins subtly, with the manipulator initially presenting themselves as caring and attentive. However, this facade quickly transforms into a tool for instilling feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, or guilt in their target. They become skilled at pressing emotional buttons, offering praise to boost you when it serves their agenda, then sharply criticizing or undermining you to sow self-doubt and foster dependency. Think of it like the relationship between a gardener and a delicate plant. A caring gardener nurtures, providing just the right amount of water and sunlight. In contrast, the emotional manipulator, akin to a neglectful gardener, oscillates between drowning the plant with too much water and leaving it to wither in drought. They use emotional extremes to destabilize, creating a dependency where the target constantly seeks the manipulator's approval and validation to recapture that initial warmth. This manipulation often targets the core of one's emotional well-being. They may downplay your achievements or exaggerate your failures to keep you in a perpetual state of self-doubt. They might twist situations to make you feel guilty for ordinary actions, shifting blame to ensure you're always the one apologizing. In relationships where emotional manipulation is present, the power balance is always skewed. The manipulator dictates when affection is given or withheld, keeping their target off balance. This dynamic isn't about mutual growth or support. It's about fulfilling the manipulator's needs at the expense of the other's emotional health. Recognizing emotional manipulation requires a keen awareness of these dynamics. It entails identifying patterns where your feelings are consistently toyed with. It calls for introspection to understand how these interactions impact your sense of self and emotional well-being. Number 6, lack of genuine support. Imagine a tree nestled in a bustling forest supported by the surrounding trees and vegetation, receiving nutrients, shelter, and the companionship of a thriving ecosystem. Now, contrast that with a solitary tree standing in a barren landscape, devoid of any flora to provide support or protection. This image parallels being in a relationship with someone who lacks genuine interest in your well-being. You feel isolated and unsupported, reaching out for camaraderie that never materializes. In such relationships, your goals, projects, and challenges are met with indifference or token gestures of support. While they may nod to your plans or offer a half-hearted good luck, their actions, or lack thereof, speak volumes. When you need tangible assistance, meaningful advice, or a sympathetic ear during tough times, their presence is conspicuously absent. Any help they offer tends to be superficial, more about appearances than genuine substance, and often disappears when you need it most. This lack of genuine support stems from their self-interest. They only show interest in your successes, failures, or challenges if they directly affect them or their goals. They view relationships as transactional, where emotional investment is calculated based on potential personal gains. This mindset creates an imbalance where one party continually gives, whether it's effort, care, or resources, while the other takes, leaving the giver feeling undervalued and overlooked. Recognizing this absence of genuine support is crucial for understanding the dynamics of your relationship with such an individual. It requires an honest evaluation of the reciprocity in your interactions. Addressing this lack of support is essential to ensure that you invest your time and energy in relationships that are nurturing, reciprocal, and genuinely supportive. Number 7, constant competition. Imagine a game of chess where every move is carefully calculated, not only to advance one's position, but also to systematically undermine the opponent. Similarly, individuals who aim to use you often treat your relationship as a strategic game. Each of your achievements, decisions, or challenges becomes an opportunity for them to assert dominance, whether it's overshadowing your professional successes, one-upping your personal accomplishments, or subtly undermining your decisions. Their actions are fueled by the desire to maintain superiority in this self-imposed competition. This constant competition manifests in various ways. In a professional setting, they may try to outshine you in meetings or take credit for your ideas. In personal relationships, they might downplay your experiences or achievements, juxtaposing their own to appear more significant. Even in casual conversations, there's an underlying effort to prove themselves better, smarter, or more successful. The root of this behavior lies in deep-seated insecurity and a skewed perception of self-worth. Their value is measured not by their own merit, but by being superior to others. This mindset turns every interaction into a zero-sum game, where for them to win, someone else, in this case, you, must lose. It's a perspective where mutual growth is overshadowed by the desire to outdo and overshadow others. Engaging with someone who constantly competes can be emotionally draining. It creates an atmosphere of perpetual tension where genuine collaboration or support is replaced by rivalry. Your successes are not celebrated, but viewed as challenges to their dominance, and your struggles are not met with empathy, but seen as opportunities for them to gain an advantage. Identifying and understanding this pattern is crucial. It helps in setting boundaries and reshaping the relationship, if possible, into a healthier and more collaborative dynamic. Recognizing that the foundation of any constructive relationship is mutual respect and support, not an endless pursuit of superiority, is key. Number 8. Absence in critical moments. The pattern of absence in critical moments resembles a tree that offers shade only when the sun is gentle, but disappears when storm clouds gather. During smooth sailing and good times, these individuals bask in shared light and reap the benefits of the relationship. However, when challenges arise and support is most needed, their presence dwindles, leaving you to weather the storm alone. These individuals view relationships as convenient tools, weighed on a scale of personal benefit. Their support is superficial, extended only when it aligns with their interests or when there is something to gain. In critical moments, whether it's a personal crisis, professional setback, or emotional turmoil, their absence is keenly felt. It's during these times when genuine support and empathy are crucial that their true priorities and lack of commitment to the relationship are starkly revealed. The impact of this behavior on the person who is let down can be profound, breeding feelings of betrayal and disillusionment. Trust and reliability, once thought foundational to the relationship, are chipped away. It prompts questioning the nature of the bond and often leads to reassessing the individual's role and value in one's life. Understanding this pattern is essential for recognizing the true nature of the relationship and the other person's intentions. It involves acknowledging that consistent support, both in times of joy and adversity, is a cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. Realizing someone's absence during your critical moments serves as a crucial litmus test, helping to distinguish between those genuinely invested in your well-being and those in the relationship solely for their own gain. Number 9. Lack of reciprocity. Imagine a seesaw where one side is burdened with efforts, sacrifices, and commitments, while the other side remains feather-light, devoid of equivalent contributions. This imagery perfectly encapsulates a relationship lacking reciprocity. In such connections, you find yourself consistently investing time, energy, and emotions to nurture and sustain the bond. Conversely, the other person's contributions are minimal, often tokenistic, or entirely absent. This disparity in effort can manifest in various ways. Perhaps you're always the one initiating communication and making plans, while their responses are lukewarm or non-committal. It could be your continuous support and understanding without receiving the same level of empathy or assistance when you need it. Even in sharing personal experiences and vulnerabilities, you might find yourself being open and forthcoming, whereas they remain guarded or disinterested. The reasons behind this lack of reciprocity stem from a self-centric approach to relationships. For the user, the relationship serves as a convenience, a resource to be tapped into as needed, without any intention of meaningful exchange. Their involvement is calculated and contingent on what benefits them, disregarding the needs and feelings of the other person. This approach contradicts the essence of healthy relationships, which thrive on mutual give and take, shared experiences, and a balanced investment of emotional labor. Recognizing the lack of reciprocity requires mindful observation of the relationship's dynamics. It involves questioning whether the efforts to sustain and grow the connection are mutually shared or disproportionately shouldered by you. It calls for an honest assessment of whether the relationship feels enriching or draining, equal or skewed. Number 10. Gossip and breach of trust. Gossip and breach of trust can be likened to a double-edged sword. On one edge, gossiping about others can create a false sense of camaraderie and trust, drawing you into what seems like an exclusive circle of confidants. However, on the other edge lies a more sinister reality: the betrayal of your trust. When you confide intimate or sensitive information in someone, trusting them to keep it private, and then they use that information as gossip fodder with others, it's a profound betrayal. This betrayal isn't just a breach of trust. It's a deliberate attempt to undermine your sense of security and privacy within the relationship. Such conduct reveals a blatant disregard for the sanctity of personal information and a lack of respect for confidentiality boundaries. The gossip monger leverages gossip as a tool for social maneuvering, positioning themselves as a hub of information. By disseminating and distorting information, they seek to manipulate perceptions, create alliances, or sow discord, all for their own benefit. This behavior reflects a utilitarian approach to relationships, viewing people as means to an end and confidential information as currency to be traded. The impact on the victim is profound, fostering an environment of mistrust and insecurity that undermines the foundation of what could have been a supportive and trustworthy relationship. The misuse of personal information can lead to social and emotional repercussions, damaging reputations, relationships, and self-esteem. Recognizing this pattern of behavior is crucial for safeguarding oneself against such relational predators. It involves vigilance in observing how they speak of others in their absence and caution in sharing information with them. Monitoring their respect for confidentiality and their propensity to engage in gossip can offer valuable insights into their character and intentions. Addressing this pattern is essential for maintaining dignity and ensuring that personal boundaries are respected in all relationships. Number 11. Select availability. You are available, they are not. Selective availability in a relationship means one person is always there for the other, but the other person isn't always available. Imagine you're like a phone line, always ready to listen, help, or support, while the other person is only available occasionally, unpredictably, and on their own terms. This difference in availability isn't just about busy schedules. It's a deliberate choice by the other person. They keep their distance to stay in control. By being less available, they make you feel grateful for any time or attention they give you. In such relationships, your attempts to connect are often met with excuses, delays, or neglect. Your messages might be ignored, calls unanswered, and your needs overlooked. When they do engage, it's usually when it suits them, turning the relationship into a one-sided street. This imbalance can make you feel inadequate and undervalued. You might start questioning if your efforts matter and if you're truly valued by the other person. It can lead to frustration and resentment when you realize your efforts aren't reciprocated. Recognizing this pattern is important. Take a step back and look at how much effort and availability each person is putting in. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect, effort, and being there for each other. Number 12. Making you feel guilty. Imagine guilt as strings controlled by a puppeteer, pulling at your conscience and leading you down a path you might not choose willingly. The person using you knows how to manipulate these strings, tapping into your sense of responsibility, empathy, or fairness. They might frame their requests in a way that refusing makes you seem uncaring or selfish. Alternatively, they might remind you of past favors, suggesting an unspoken debt you're now obligated to repay. This tactic of inducing guilt is subtle and sneaky. It starts with small favors, gradually escalating to more significant demands. Over time, your boundaries weaken, and your ability to say no diminishes, leaving you feeling trapped in a cycle of guilt and compliance. The effectiveness of this tactic lies in its ability to exploit a fundamental aspect of human nature: the desire to be seen as good, helpful, and caring. By making you feel guilty, the manipulator distorts these virtues, turning them into tools of control. You end up doing things not out of genuine desire or mutual respect, but because you feel obliged, often feeling resentful or drained. Recognizing when someone is using guilt to manipulate you is crucial for maintaining your personal boundaries and emotional well-being. It involves being mindful of the emotional dynamics in your interactions, distinguishing between genuine requests for help and attempts to exploit your goodwill. It also requires the courage to question the motives behind the requests and to assert your right to say no without feeling guilty. Identifying and addressing this manipulative tactic is essential for building healthier relationships based on mutual respect, genuine care, and free choice. rather than obligation and guilt. Number 13. Lack of personal interest. Imagine a conversation like a busy street with thoughts, experiences, and emotions flowing back and forth. In a healthy relationship, this street is alive with mutual interest and care. But when dealing with someone who just wants to use you, this street becomes a one-way lane. Their stories and experiences dominate the conversation, while attempts to talk about your life are often brushed aside. This lack of personal interest shows up in different ways. Conversations with them feel more like monologues than dialogues. They eagerly talk about their daily lives, expecting your attention and empathy. But when it's your turn to speak, they lose interest, change the subject, or show impatience. Your problems and experiences hardly seem to matter to them. This behavior isn't just a lack of social etiquette. It's a deliberate indication of their priorities and intentions. By focusing solely on themselves, they establish a dynamic where their needs come first. It's like the relationship revolves around them, and you're just an audience or sounding board. These interactions can be disheartening, leaving you feeling insignificant and frustrated. Over time, this imbalance can weaken the foundation of the relationship, making you feel like an accessory to their life rather than an equal partner. Recognizing this lack of personal interest is important. It means being aware of how your interactions unfold and understanding how they affect you emotionally. It's about evaluating whether the relationship is mutually enriching or draining. Identifying this imbalance sets the stage for seeking more reciprocal and fulfilling relationships, where your stories and experiences are valued as much as theirs. Number 14. Superficial closeness. Superficial closeness is like the surface of a lake, shimmering and promising depth, but lacking true profundity upon closer examination. In such interactions, people may mimic the behaviors of close friends or committed partners. They engage in frequent communication, share laughs, and even seem to have intimate conversations. However, this closeness never goes beyond the surface. The lack of genuine commitment manifests in various ways. While they enjoy the benefits of the relationship, they quickly distance themselves when it requires effort or sacrifice. Their support is unreliable, especially in times of need. They may show up for celebrations but disappear during struggles or vulnerabilities. Moreover, this superficial closeness lacks trust and reliability, essential for authentic relationships. Plans are made but easily broken, promises given but rarely kept. Their participation in the relationship is on their terms, driven by convenience and self-interest. This behavior aims to keep people close for utility, without investing in the emotional labor real relationships demand. It's like emotional hedging, enjoying closeness without the risk of attachment or responsibility. Recognizing superficial closeness is crucial. It means observing interaction patterns and questioning if perceived intimacy matches genuine commitment and shared vulnerability. It's about discerning if the relationship is balanced emotionally or serving their needs. Ultimately, it's a relationship with a facade of intimacy, but lacking genuine commitment and mutual growth. Identifying this pattern allows for nurturing relationships rooted in authenticity, reciprocity, and true emotional depth.